Hi, it's Dorothy Guining with Scrapbooking Quebec. In this video, I'll be creating a double-page layout featuring Stampin' Up's Gathering Together Suite. It's an online exclusive collection that was released in September 2025. I will be digging into some other tools and products as well, and everything I use will be listed below along with my link to Stampin' Up. So without further ado, let's get started. Here's the paper pack gathering together. So there are 12 pattern papers, double-sided. I'm giving you a look at all of the prints. I also have the stamp and die set called Gathering Moments. Now the dies do cut out the smaller images, but they also have these giant leaf dies, and that's what I'm going to be using. I'm also going to be playing with this fluffy squirrel bundle, and that is found in the September-December 2025 mini catalog. For today's project, I'm going to be using these two papers I'm showing you right now, so I'm going to toss the other ones aside. And you are going to see I did create a frame style foundation. Actually, I created two of them, and the papers I used were Basic Beige, Cajun Craze, and Early Espresso. For each one of these, I gutted one of the papers, and there is a tutorial on my channel where I explain how to do that. So that's going to be listed and linked below. Here are the pattern papers. You can see on the side I tossed some scraps that I'll be digging into later on. I do have gold foil sheets, another Stampin' Up product. And here are my photos. So I have 5 of them. Actually, I have 7. 5 of them are matted. 2 of them are going to go in one of those flip flaps, which is an adhesive pocket to add extra photos on top of a layout. You can see I did some cutting. So I cut myself out 4 strips in that wood grain paper, 2 wider strips in that leaf print paper, and I'm just going to place them on my foundation pages to let you know how I want to move forward with this. Now, I've done this design often where I create a double page spread with strips going straight across the 2 pages. Now, typically when I do that, I would have a 24 by 12 frame style foundation. What's different here is that I have 2 individual frame style foundations, and I must say my inspiration came from Kelly Baxter Fitzgerald. She's known as Snips by Kelly on YouTube. I recently bought a workshop from her, and one of her background foundation pages was very similar to this, and she had the strips on 2 separate frame style foundations, and I found that kind of fun. So I am going to put a link to her channel below. As you can see, I am placing my photos on the 2 pages, and right now they just have backgrounds, or I should say mats, in that basic beige cardstock. I am going to want to add an extra mat behind each one of these photos, so I'm just going to try out some different colors here. So I have that Cajun Craze. I'm sorry, I'm tongue twisted at this point. I have Cajun Craze. I'm trying Old Olive right now. The brown is just too dark for me, but I do decide to go with that Cajun Craze. I like how it picks up the orange in my sweatshirt. And off camera, you can see I matted all of my photos. I adhered those strips to my foundation page, and I did adhere my photos to the page. I'm also pointing out that I didn't press down too hard on my photos because I am going to want to add embellishments later on coming out from underneath my photos. The adhesive I use, which will be listed below, gives me a little bit of wiggle room, so I'm not too worried about it. But if you have an adhesive that bonds instantaneously, you may not want to adhere your photos right away. As you can see, I got my die cutting machine out, and I got those Gathering Moments dies. The large leaf dies that I'm using do not correspond with a stamp, but they are absolutely fabulous because of their size. Basically, there are 2 giant leaves, an oak leaf and a maple leaf. Now, for each one of them, there are 2 dies. That first one there, the oak leaf, I just used one of the dies. This time I'm going to use the oak leaf, but with a layering die. This time, when it punches out, you're going to see there are holes in it. And the intention for the holes is actually for stitching. You can stitch the veins in the leaves. I'm not actually going to do that, so I'm just going to use it with the holes in it. But I wanted to show you both ways you could use these dies. I will do more of these leaves, and I will also cut out some of the maple leaves, but I will do that off camera. Now what I want to do is cut out some sprigs. So I'm using another die set. It's called Christmas Greenery, another new stamp and die set from the September 2025 release. Basically, I wanted sprigs for my embellishment clusters, but those leaves were so huge, I had to find a sprig die that was big, and sure enough, in that Christmas Greenery die set there were nice big sprigs. So I'm cutting these out in that gold foil sheets from Stampin' Up. Again, I will create more of those off camera. What I'm going to do right now is tidy all of this up, and I'm going to get out the Fluffy Squirrel bundle. So this is a stamp and coordinating punch. The inks I have are Early Espresso and Pecan Pie. And what I'm going to do here is start by stamping out the squirrel outline in Early Espresso. So I'm going to do this 3 times, and then what I will do is get out another stamp, because these are 2-step stamps. And for the second one, what it does is it basically fills in the color of the squirrel. So again, I'm going to be doing that in the Pecan Pie. You'll get to see that in just a moment. I am pointing out that in the stamps there are squirrels facing 2 different directions, but the punch is for a squirrel facing in only one direction. So when I was selecting my stamps, I just had to make sure I had the proper stamp. The second step of this stamping is pretty easy to line up. There are a few indicators. What I was looking at was the hole of the eye of the squirrel. By focusing on that, I was able to easily place the second stamp on top of the outline. You can see I did it quite easily. I'm not going to do the third one on camera, but I did 2 of them, and now I'm just getting out the punch. The punch also punches out a little acorn, and in the stamp set there is a coordinating acorn stamp as well. I don't end up using it on this layout, but it is there. So now what I'm going to do is pack all of this away and then get out my embellishments and show you everything that I will be playing with. I do have those flip flaps handy. That's the adhesive pockets to add extra photos. You will see that in action at the very end of this video in the still shots. Now I'm showing you these little acorns. I punched those out with a little die set along with those little oak leaves. It's called Circle of Seasons. It's a paper pumpkin die add-on. It was for the autumn of 2025. Those acorns, I did them in 2 different wood grain papers, and the little oak leaves, the color is Cajun Craze. I have this weave trim. It's a new product from September 2025 as well. I don't end up using it, but it's really beautiful. I have those stamped and punched out squirrels. Here are those beautiful leaves that I'm so excited about using. And I have these rub-ons. These are in the 2025-2026 annual catalog. They are metallic in gold and silver. I've never used them before, so this is going to be a first time for me. And here's my title. It's going to be Adventure with Friends. So I'm showing you that I die cut all of this, the word and the alphas. Now the first die set I'm showing you is called Sweet Silhouette. It's a retired one from Stampin' Up. There's a tree in there, a dandelion, and some words. I cut out the word adventure in those metallic gold sheets, and I backed the paper with adhesive. So that's an adhesive backed word now. Same thing for the alphas. I use the mini alphabet die set. Basically, you punch out an entire alphabet with 1 die, and I backed the paper in an adhesive sheet, so all of my alphas are adhesive. You can see I did do my journaling in advance, and I showed you dies a moment ago. They are the Nested Essentials dies, and you can see my journaling is on a little die cut banner. I also showed you as well, I have some adhesive dots. Now I'm showing you where I plan to embellish. So I'm going to place embellishing in 3 spots: the top left, bottom left, and top right. For the journaling, I know I want to place it to the left of that photo on the middle right. For the title, I'm not quite sure. I'm thinking top left, possibly bottom left, and I will make that decision when I embellish my page. But I do know I want it to be on top of that brown wood grain printed paper. What I'm going to do right now is start by establishing my 3 areas where I will be creating embellishment clusters. And I'm starting with the largest pieces, which are obviously these giant leaves. So in each one of the areas, I'm going to tuck in an oak leaf and a maple leaf. Now, normally when I create my embellishment clusters, I want them to be different. I do not want 3 identical clusters, and often I do that by making them in different sizes. Well, right now I'm starting with identical leaves in each one of them, but as I move forward, I will be switching them up a bit, and mostly I'm going to be switching them up in size. The next leaves I'm going to bring in are those metallic leaves from that Christmas greenery die set. For the top right, where I'm working right now, I'm going to be adding 3 of those sprigs, and this is going to be the largest cluster. For the other 2 embellishment clusters, for each one of them, I'm just going to be bringing in 1 of each one of these sprigs. You can see why I wanted those large sprigs, because those leaves are so huge. I needed a huge sprig, so I'm really thrilled that I was able to find it, because when I was looking through my dies, most of the sprigs I had were quite small. Anyway, as you can see, for each one of the clusters on the left, I just have 1 sprig in each one of them. Now what I'm thinking is I have to place my journaling. I know where that's going to go. And I also have those squirrels, which are really cute. They're also quite big. You can see I tucked one in behind my journaling. I'm placing one in the top left, another one in the top right, but I'm finding that if I want a squirrel, maybe I just want one of them. I decide to keep it just behind my journaling for the time being. At this point, I do need some smaller items. So I'm coming in with those little acorns. You can see I have 2 in the top right, 2 in the top left, and I just add 1 in the bottom left. I'm looking at my journaling and I'm finding it a little lost at this point. Also, you can see I am playing around with my title. I'm still not 100% sure where I'm going to place it. So now I'm having a look at my journaling and I'm thinking I want to back that. So I'm just trying out some different papers, and I do have those Nested Essentials dies, and those banners come in different sizes. So you can see off camera I cut myself out 2 more banners, just trying to decide which one I want to go with. I decide to go with the one that's in brown. The green looks nice too, but I like the brown. Now I'm having a look at those rub-ons, thinking, where am I going to put them? Again, I've never used these before. It's quite new to me. At this point, I decide I'm just going to start adhering the clusters that I've already decided upon. Then I will work with the rub-ons and decide where my title goes a little bit later on. So there I go. I start with my journaling. Now I'm coming in with the cluster in the top right. When I am adhering these, I am making sure to place the adhesive really at the base of the leaves. I'm not doing it at the tips, because I do know I want to add those rub-ons later on, and I'm going to want to do it so that it's coming out from underneath the leaves. So I want to be able to lift the leaves. That's why I'm just putting the adhesive really at the base of the leaves. Right now I'm just working on those little acorns, and I'm adding the little oak leaves, the little yellow ones, with a little bit of liquid adhesive behind the little acorn. For each one of the clusters, I do end up popping one acorn up with foam adhesive. Now I'm moving over to the left page. So I'm working in the cluster in the bottom left of the page. Very same thing. This one, the cluster ends up being smaller, not only with fewer gold leaves, but you may notice as well, I am tucking the clusters on the left page further underneath the photo. If you look on the right page, it's a little bit off screen right now, but you will see it later on. The leaves stick out more, so that cluster ends up being bigger. So that's just another way of making my clusters look different. So as you can see off camera, I ended up adhering that third cluster in the top left. Now I'm having a look at where I'm going to be placing my title, and I decide I do want it in the top left. I'm also showing you that I cut some pieces from that rub-on sheet, and I decide I'm going to put one where you see me placing it right now, kind of at the bottom of the right page. I find there's really nothing there, so I'm going to add a rub-on there, and I'm using my little Creative Memories multi-purpose tool to rub it. But these transfer very, very quickly, so you could probably easily do it with your thumb. You're not really going to be able to see it on screen, but you do see the rub-on, the metallic rub-on in the still shots at the very end of this video. Believe me, it's noticeable, but it is quite subtle as well because I have it on top of this brown wood grain cardstock. I'm adding another one to that cluster in the top right. So I have it again peeking out from behind the leaf. So I'm very, very happy that I didn't adhere those directly to the page there. I had left them a little bit loose, if you recall. I'm a little tongue-tied. I am doing this video quite late on Saturday night because normally I get this video up on Friday. So please forgive me if I am tongue-tied while I'm doing this. Now, back to my title. You can see I'm spelling it out. Adventure with Friends here. At this point, I notice I'm missing the letter I. So you're going to see me at one point stop the camera and I go find my little envelope with all of the alphas in it, and I find myself the letter I. So again, I mentioned earlier that the word adventure and my alphas, my green alphas, which are in old olive two-tone cardstock, by the way, these are all backed with adhesive sheets. This is a Stampin' Up! Product that I frequently use, especially when I die cut alphas. It makes it so incredibly easy when I'm adhering them to the page. As you can see, I'm peeling off the adhesive and I'm adhering the alphas to the page, starting with the word at the bottom, and I'm really starting on the far left because that's where I want my word to end, and I'm kind of working my way backwards. I'm not going to make you watch all of it, but basically I start with the bottom word, then I place the word with at top, again, working my way backwards because what's important to me is where the word ends. And in the end, I do the third word on top, which is adventure there. So again, not going to make you watch all of this, but I just wanted to point out the order in which I adhere these words and also point out that I do have them backed in those adhesive sheets that I just showed you. I particularly appreciate it for this word adventure, which is so incredibly detailed. So I peeled off the wax paper. Now I'm adhering it to the page, and it's just nice and flat and easy. So I'm pretty much close to the end here. I do have this other little piece of a rub-on, and I have it in two spots on the right page. I decide on the left page for this third spot, I'm just putting it underneath the word adventure. Again, very, very subtle, but you will see it in the still shots at the end of this video. Now, at this point, I am pulling out that weave trim there. I don't end up using it, and I'm just kind of moving around my squirrels here, trying to figure out if I like where I have them placed. And basically, this is it, my finished layout. Off camera, I ended up removing the squirrel, even though I found it completely adorable. With all of the pattern papers, the large embellishments, the metallic paper, and the rub-ons, I felt I had a lot going on, and that's the same reason why I didn't add that weave ribbon as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, Scrapbooking Quebec, I would be thrilled if you did. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very, very much. As I mentioned in the intro, everything I used is listed below along with my link to Stampin' Up. If you live in Canada and use the link, I will get a commission. Please know that I appreciate your support more than words can describe. Have a great day, and I will see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.